2022 meeting of the Southampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of 2022, adopted on May 24th, 2022. Our next meeting and those following will be held in person here at Town Hall and will also continue to allow for remote participation. So we ask that you continually check the town's website for updates and new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I continue when I'm reading, I just want to wish our newest board member to the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is John Leonard, who was just appointed by the Town Board to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Welcome. Thank you all.
For those of you who are here with us tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Please do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another in the boardroom as it interferes with our recording equipment. Tonight, we also have board member Helen Burgess participating remotely. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you are having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a date to be announced after the hearing. Those comments can be addressed to our board secretary, Candace, and sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at Town Hall. We're actually doing in terms of this is the applications that are on tonight. The written sub-period will end on November 4th and will be on for decision on December 17th unless we say otherwise at the end of each hearing. With that, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Minutes are approved. Next, I would ask that we go on to adjournments.
Okay, the agenda does have some adjournments. First item on the agenda is item 2, which is Will Charles Psalm. That has been withdrawn. And then we go to item 6 on the agenda, which is SGM Excavating LLC and Max Masonry Supply Yard LLC. I move to adjourn that to our November 17th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 7 on the agenda, SGM Excavating LLC. I'll move to adjourn that to our November 17th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 8 on the agenda is Michael Gluckman and Lila Budar Gluckman. I'll move to adjourn that to our December 1st meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
9, 10, and 11, since we were hearing it all as one. Make a motion to adjourn that to our 11/17 meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 13 on the agenda is Ivan Paskov. I'll move to adjourn that to our November 3rd meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, these decisions will be moved to our 11/3 meeting. That's East Quogue, 535 Realty, Inc., and Robert Lenowitz.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, then we have Grace M.S. Clark, Lee Skolnick, and Dilip Patel. I'll move that they're gonna be held over to our November 17th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, going back up to the decision calendar. Deanna and Deborah Frey, I'll move to reopen that applications to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Reopen.
I'll move to close it now for determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, 547 Dune Road LLC, I'll move to reopen that to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Reopen.
Now I'll move to close it to, for a determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, going back to the beginning of the agenda, here we go. Item 1 on the agenda is Woodcock Ventures LLC. This is a minor variance review, 135 South Road in West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-376-1-33. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-6, General Regulations, that references 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal front yard setback from the required 60 feet to 45 feet for a proposed one-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, this is a minor, so there's no public hearing. So at this point, Helen, it is yours for decision.
Okay, well, there are materials that have not been submitted, so we are going to close this hearing today and wait for our written submissions on, as the date of November 4th, with a decision on December 17th.
Second.
No, not December
November
17th, November 17th.
Okay,
November.
November 17th.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
And Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda is JMPE2 LLC, JMPE LLC, and John Radziwill. 911, 913, 915, and 917 Ocean Road in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-105-2-54.4, 57.1, 55, and 57.2. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330, Section 82, lot width, road frontage. The proposed lot width of 18.54 feet for proposed lots 1, 2, and 3 respectively, where 20 feet is required, and 18.55 feet for proposed lot 4, where 20 feet is required for the proposed reconfiguration of lot lines for a 4-lot subdivision and any other any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Michael?
Good evening.
Good evening, Brian Lopassi with the Adam Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Bridgehampton, attorney for the applicant. As read in the notice, we're here for 911, 913, 915, and 917 Ocean Road. These are currently 4 existing lots. The client had applied back in, I think, June of 2021 for a lot line modification to bring these 4 lots into conforming size under the 120 zoning district. The property, there's currently 1 improved lot, which is, I believe, 917 Ocean Road. It's improved single-family dwelling pool, and that property is currently on landlocked parcel that accesses Ocean Road via a right-of-way over the existing 3 flag strips. Those current 3 flag strips are all of conforming size. Upon review of first with Matt Charters and then with Jackie, it was determined that the planning board wanted us to create a 4th flag strip, so we no longer had a landlocked parcel. But as we only have about 74.5 feet of road frontage, we don't have enough to yield the 4 20-foot flags. So that's what required this to be before you today for 4 lots, flags of about 18.5 feet each. Otherwise, these lots will conform to zoning, and happy to answer any questions you have.
Do we have
Foot and a half.
any head nodding going on from emergency services, fire,
Yeah.
everything, or do we want something in the record for that?
I think that would be a good idea, just something to make sure that ambulances and fire trucks can get through.
I'm sure they can.
Yeah, I mean,
Brian.
we'll have to have that'll all be under review when we go back before planning. There will be a common driveway, and the driveway will have to conform to required zoning, if it doesn't already, for the improved lot, which does have a CO, and, but no objections there, of course, we'd wanna.
Yeah, so we'd want to get one for ambulance, the volunteer ambulance corps, and one from wherever the fire department for the fire district.
I think the planning board makes those referrals, don't they,
Yep.
Anthony?
Yes, well, we have a pre-application pending with the planning
Yep.
board.
Okay,
And
Yeah,
Matt
this
was
is
working on it,
yeah.
and then Jackie was, and now I'm not familiar with all of it.
okay,
Other than the planning board did require this, and what we do is during pre-application, once it's complete, and we sent them here for some reason first.
It was for
I don't know
this,
why. I think
yeah.
it's for that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
send the referrals to all the emergency agencies, and they come back with their comments and whatever they require before this condition.
okay,
And this did go before public hearing back in February, before the planning board,
okay,
and,
yeah,
Balls in your court, Anthony.
yeah. And, I mean, usually if it's 15 feet or more, it's, it's not 20 feet,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's,
gonna be
it's
fine,
usually
you know?
okay. But we just usually want to have something in the file, just making sure, because
Of course.
sometimes also they can,
Yep.
meander these, I mean, this is not, well, it has a little, a cut in it, but,
Yep.
otherwise, we just want to make sure that there isn't an issue.
yeah, it will be a common driveway, but even if there were 4 separate driveways, there's enough width at 18.5 feet to have 4 conforming driveways.
Yeah, okay,
Foot and a half is the.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
planned to separate them, if
Um,
anything at all?
So I can show you, this is an existing aerial image. So this is the current layout of the 4 lots. I can submit these if you like. I don't know if it's necessary for everyone, but. You can take them all.
Just this one.
Okay.
Right, so these are,
So you-
so these are wooded areas that are gonna be cleared.
It's farmland, well, it's
Right.
open area, it's vacant.
Okay.
There's currently 1 improved house, that's the small, improved
Just
lot.
pass this one.
Yeah, of course. And as you can see, this is the resulting lot line. We're obviously making the 3rd lot in larger.
Right.
The other 3 that.
But on the flag, are you planning on
And
having divisions between
It'll be a
these
common
four-
driveway,
It'll just be
as-
one,
Yeah, yep, as they are now, they will continue to be, it's just on paper, it's, planning did not want to do a lot line modification that created or carried on a landlocked parcel. 'Cause apparently there was some prior, litigation to the north, I think on Silver Lane, with a landlocked parcel, and the other properties didn't want to give them access, so, planning was concerned about that, so we're creating a conforming parcel with road frontage. And, we have no objection to it, it's
yeah,
really.
right, and so you're having a subdivision that creates it's gonna have 4 conforming lots as the
Correct.
size. The issue is only the flag,
Correct, yep.
at least for our purposes.
Brian,
Yeah.
is the intent to have the entire flag area without shrubbery and vegetation?
That- yeah,
so
that's my
it's
question.
all flat and it's all open? Or is it just gonna be one single drive?
No, it would be 1 single driveway, it's, I'm sure they'll want screening to separate them from the adjoining neighbors.
So it won't be essentially, the 80 feet or?
No, it's
whatever.
not gonna be like, we're not bringing in like a road, it'll be a driveway, and it'll be nicely landscaped.
And with your pre-application to the planning, you're gonna indicate how wide that road is gonna be for purposes of
We're gonna
emergency
mandate
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
so
don't,
to clarify
yeah.
before what Brian
Okay.
just said, one driveway within that 80 feet or whatever that
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 15 feet wide or whatever it has
Yep.
to be under law. the rest of that, that's wooded and will remain like that, because he knows the planning board will keep that as a buffer between the
Okay.
driveway and the adjacent
Okay,
properties.
that's what I
So,
wanted to
so it'll be
clarify.
one common driveway?
One.
One common driveway.
Yep.
Okay,
With the stipulated width. Okay.
Yep.
okay, so it's not 4 separate driveways
Nope.
at 18 point whatever?
No,
feet?
we're just creating a line on paper in practicality. It's, nothing's gonna change, from a practical standpoint on the properties.
However, Brian, wouldn't this allow, if those ended up being owned by 4 separate owners, it would allow any of those owners to create their own private driveway if they wish?
Well, I'm, planning will condition their approval on that common driveway being a requirement. I mean, I don't need to speak for
Yeah,
Anthony,
it'll
but
be, we will require a common driveway and utility easement that will serve all 4 lots of the subdivision, and it will specifically say, lots 2, 3, and 4 shall not have individual driveways onto.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's just a typical standard, you know.
It'll be a declaration
Yep. Yeah.
and recorded, so,
exactly.
right, right.
So
It will
this is,
specifically prohibit 4 driveways.
okay,
Yeah.
so this is an administrative technicality.
Yeah.
I mean, the planning board's not spending a ton of time on it, to be quite honest.
yes, okay,
Because we're not getting any increased density as a result of the subdivision. We're getting
Right.
conforming lots and still maintaining one common driveway, and I don't know why the lot was landlocked to begin with, but that's.
Yep, that's,
Okay.
So I think
predates all
overall,
of us.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Okay,
That's good.
All right, thank you.
okay, any other questions of members of the board?
So how
Katie?
long will it take for us to receive the information that we need in order to write a decision on this in terms of from the fire, the ambulance, the planning board?
well, we,
it sounds like we don't need to have that because planning is going to be getting those referrals.
we are, the only question is the secret on this, and I don't have the answer for you tonight,
It's-
because it's
a type 1.
it's a type
It was,
one
and there was a
because it's-
resolution adopted in, I think, August of last year to commence secra, but I don't know with the pandemic and departure of Matt if it ever actually happened. So that's something
what I need
Anthony and I have
find
to,
out, is
I see.
find out
so we're
what
gonna have
we
to
did
leave
with
this
secret.
open until
Okay.
secra's determined.
Okay.
Either the
So we're
determination
not-
I'll present, or
Yeah,
we'll have to
so we
coordinate
can't, so we
secra.
can't close, we can't close until we have an answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, and I talked to Brian.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You think it's possible the planning would have started secret with pre-app?
Lot line modifications are unique, and only because, in this particular case, because it's type 1, it's not a standard subdivision process. So what happens is an applicant then gets a pre-application, then they go for a final with the health department, and the health department says, we need a secret determination from the planning board,
Ah,
which we
right.
don't normally do at a pre-application.
Got it.
Yeah,
But in this case, we sort of have to, so
right, okay.
I'll figure it out, and whatever we need to do, we'll do.
Well,
Yeah.
do you think we should adjourn it to the next meeting, or do you think we should put it off for the 30 days to coordinate?
I hate to coordinate if the plan, because there was some indication that the planning board did a resolution that already coordinated,
Okay,
and so, and the thing is, there was no pending ZBA application on the time, so this board didn't
Okay.
weigh in. But this board normally would just leave it to the zoning, to the planning board anyway, something like this, so,
Most of the time.
most of the time.
Yeah.
So, I will have something in for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can put it over for 2 weeks, and if it turns out.
Either I'm
that-
here
we
with
need
the
to do something.
determination, or I'll have to
That's
submit
it.
a request to adjourn it while we coordinate.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
we can deal with that at the hearing.
Okay, good.
I'm here that night
So we're
anyway,
adjourning the hearing,
We'll leave it,
or are we
We're,
just
we're keeping,
leaving it?
we're keeping it open for 2 weeks
For 2
to see where
weeks.
we are with secret.
Yeah.
And if it turns
Okay.
out the secret's already been done, essentially clearly coordinated, then at that point, we could, be able to close it. But if not, then that's gotta be
Okay.
completed before we can close it.
Second.
What he said.
Right.
That's all perfectly
Okay.
clear.
Well, all perfectly clear. So, but in the meantime, want to ask if there's anyone in the audience who would like to be heard in connection with this application. Was the application of JMPE2 LLC, which is JMPE LLC and John Radziwill. This is for property located at 911, 913, 915, and 917 Ocean Road in Bridgehampton. Okay, if no one would like to be heard who's here in the audience, I want to ask if there's anyone who's waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with the application of JMPE2 LLC, JMPE LLC, and John Radziwill, which is for property located at 911, 913, 915, and 917 Ocean Road in Bridgehampton. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
no one on Zoom.
Okay? All right, if not, Mike,
What he said.
all yours.
We're gonna keep this open,
Yep.
and continue, we'll see you again in 2 weeks, is that right? On the.
Yeah,
uh,
November
Thank you.
3rd.
On November, we'll
3rd.
see you again on November 3rd.
Yep, and then we'll see where we are with the secret.
Right.
Yep, okay.
Oh, the request coordination, or will?
Yep,
Right.
or just let us know if it's
Yeah.
already been done.
Okay.
Okay, all right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let me see, Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia. Getting myself confused. I'm not used to having 7 people. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is Stephen and Cynthia Slater, 9 Peconic Overlook, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-190-1-42.3. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for the proposed detached garage at a non-conforming lot. 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 6.8 feet where 10 feet is required. 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the garage to be located within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal building, and 330-84D, pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 138 cubic feet. And 2, to legalize an existing raised patio constructed without the benefit of a building permit to allow the raised patio to remain within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. That's it. Boss?
Okay, good evening. Just have to swear you both in, unless you're attorneys.
Oh, no, Cynthia Slater.
Okay, all right. Can you just state your names and your addresses?
Cynthia Slater, 9 Peconic Overlook, Hampton Bays.
Okay, and so-
Cynthia Slater, 9 Peconic Overlook, Hampton Bays.
and do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us about the application?
Pretty straightforward. The way our property kind of narrows in the back. The house is about a little over 800 square feet. So this little garage that we want to put up, we would just like it to look nice from the street instead of having it crooked. So we're
Okay.
going over about, I think it's 3 feet.
Not even.
Yeah,
It's a little over 3 feet, something like that.
right.
And it's gonna be parallel to the house
Yeah,
also,
so
so if
just
you do
cosmetic.
go along the property line, it's not gonna be parallel, so we wanna make it nice. And we have a patio in between, outside the house, so we can't go closer to the house, to get away from that.
Okay.
We have to be on the property line.
Okay, all right. And so the patio, I believe, was built, was there when you bought the house?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
In
yeah,
2019.
Okay,
Concrete, it's concrete.
Sorry? Yes.
Concrete.
okay. And, all right, so, and probably at the time, so obviously you wouldn't have any information as to how the patio went up without permits, I wouldn't think.
No.
Okay, but I ask these questions, and we as a board ask these questions because we have a lot of folks who put structures up without permits, and we often wanna know how, and, how it transpired. And in this situation, you're just trying to legalize, you
Yeah.
bought it with what was there,
Yeah.
and you're trying to basically rectify the
At
situation.
closing, they presented us with a piece of paper that said it was fine and,
Yeah, your
we just
certificate
wanna
of
get it. Yeah, that was
occupancy.
pretty much it.
There are
It's
two,
it's not on there.
It's so.
are
we
there two
just wanna-
patios? There seems like to be one in the front, one in the back.
The one in the back's ground level,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
have about 6 inches.
So the one we're seeking to legalize is the one in the front, correct? It's
Yeah.
concrete patio by the garage.
Concrete, yeah. No,
No,
not by the
side.
garage, on the other side.
It's the,
On the other side.
yeah,
this is the one
It's on the
that's,
north side.
it's on this one. This one is flat.
yeah.
So-
And
The
it turned-
concrete one is flat.
Correct.
They're both
Makes sense.
concrete though.
Well, they both are.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, all right, so, the good news, as far as we're concerned with the ZBA application, is that, the setback relief, for, the detached garage is, relatively minor, in 10 feet to 6.8 feet. I guess it looks like, well, you're putting it in the side, to be located in the side yard, which we deal with from time to time. Sometimes we'll have, garages proposed in, a side yard or and a front yard from time to time. Our former chairman, Herb Phillips, who was an excellent chairperson, used to say, Well, of course you have your garage in the front yard. How are you gonna get your car into it if it's not in the front yard? So, anyway, pyramid relief minimal, 138 cubic feet. I understand you don't have any question, any information about the patio, but also the patio needs relief to be in the minimum and total side yard as well. So it's, mostly, minor setback relief, minor pyramid relief, and locating it where you're locating it. And I just want to take a quick look at the survey.
May I ask a question?
Sure, of course.
So there appears to be a parking lot abutting your property. What is that?
They're on the
Is
other
that a
side of
sore
the
spot?
fence.
On the other side of the fence, yeah.
No. It's like, there's a
compound.
couple of houses in
Four
there, and
houses?
they had, like, 4 houses in there, and they.
They just have a
that's
common
park-
lot for the.
They have a common lot that they've
Correct.
striped out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And you're on a cul-de-sac,
Residential.
you're at the
Correct,
end.
you're at the
Yeah,
end,
yeah.
right,
Okay,
dead end.
and is anyone right across, it looks like it's
No,
wooded.
It's a
wooded.
turnaround, it's a wooded area.
Just a wooded
Yeah.
turnaround. Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot.
Yeah, it's great, it's private.
It's great.
Nice and private, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? I see on the survey that there's a 6-foot wooden fence. It seems to be in the front yard.
It's, what do you, there's a 6-foot fence that divides
Out of
us
here.
from that.
Says there's a 6-foot PVC, you have this one there.
Oh, that's in there.
There's a wood fence, maybe the neighbor's fence, may not be yours.
Is it your fence?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
So it belongs to the parking lot?
We
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so you don't take ownership of that, okay?
No.
Because we have problems with 6-foot fences
Yeah.
in front yards.
In front
Oh,
yard.
no, no, no.
Fence
So
has
that's
to be
why
about
I
30
wanted
years
to
old.
clarify that.
It's like ready to fall down.
All right, well,
Yeah.
okay, then it'll be 4 foot.
Yeah.
All right, so that's not your
No.
mess.
Yeah. So the main relief here is locate structures in the side yard. Essentially, that's most of what it is.
And there's no other location that would work.
No.
Well, the way we
Because
would,
the way it's set back, the way the house is set back
The lot is not.
yeah, and it's kind of crammed in there in the back, so we didn't want
Yeah,
the
you
garage in the
I don't want
front.
the garage in the front, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's-
It's the same problem in the front. It's
Yes,
just
yeah.
the
Yeah,
side, so,
It just wouldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't look right coming down the block. I'd rather it just be kind of tucked away.
yeah, and you don't have a backyard to put it
Not
in.
really, not one to speak of.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, it's only like, was it 7 feet from the back of the garage to our fence, to the back.
So what is the backyard, the rear yard setback would be what, 10 feet?
I think so.
10, they go to
10,
16,
right?
so like 3
For
feet,
for
2
accessory
inches.
structure? It depends on the zoning classification.
Okay,
but yeah, yeah.
So,
But the more you put it back, the closer it's gonna get to the
Correct.
property
We
line.
That's
tried
right.
every scenario to not do this, and it
Sure.
just wouldn't.
yeah, I know, I see, it would get
We
very
really
close,
did.
because you're
Yeah.
We had it
15.7,
staked out, we
yeah.
stared
If
at
we
it.
move back,
Yeah.
we'll get even closer to the
Doesn't work.
property line.
Yeah, if the house were more centered on the property,
Property, it'd be a
then
different
you have a
difference.
more workable rear
Yeah.
yard, but that's just what it is, and you don't.
You just
so,
bought it, what, 3 years ago, right?
2019, right
When-
before
right
COVID.
Wow,
Look at it now.
okay.
We did, we know.
You did the jackpot.
Okay,
All right, well, I have no problem.
yep,
Minimal,
Okay.
like you said, Adam.
yeah, it's really minimal.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see if there's anybody on Zoom. By the way, have you heard from any of your neighbors at all about the application?
3 got
Okay.
back to us.
3 out of 6.
3 out of
Okay.
6.
Okay,
And
I mean, just that they received the. well,
The
somebody
notice.
said-
the notice.
But they, I mean, one of course, we said.
The
they
one that
have
has
a-
to look at it, she's great, she's fine with
Mm-hmm.
it. She's the only one who have to,
Is that the person over here?
Sharon.
Yes.
across the street.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Further up the street.
Yeah.
okay. All right, any other questions?
No?
Is there anyone in the audience who is waiting to be heard in in connection with the application of Slater? This is for property located at 9 Peconic Overlook, Hampton Bays. Is there anyone who is waiting to be heard on Zoom this evening in connection with the application of Slater for property located at 9 Peconic Overlook, Hampton Bays? If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No, no, Zoom.
Okay. If
Well,
not,
it's mine.
Bob, it's yours.
We're gonna hold open for written submissions to 11/4, with a decision on 11/17.
Yep.
Thank you. Second.
Second?
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We have a
my
second?
Second. Second.
All right, now Mr. Macedonia,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Jim Martelli.
All of a sudden.
Have some water. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Are you paramedics? Oh, you're a nurse? Great.
Item five on the agenda is first, SMPD LLC, 19 Collingswood Drive in Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-26-4-5. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow a garage to be located within the minimum required side yard and a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction? Okay.
Good evening. Just had to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
No,
Nope. Okay. If you can just state your name and address.
Sean Murphy, 59, Wicklow Drive, Sag Harbor.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can tell us about the application.
Yeah, so I filed to the building department for a permit to put a small addition onto the main house here, build a garage and some other pool, different things like that. Back in the end of last year, got my permit on January 21st and started construction. About 2 months later, I filed for an amendment to the permit to do some various other odds and ends on the house, nothing related to the garage. And at that time, during that review, they noticed that the garage that was previously approved was encroaching into the side yard some,
Yep.
and advised me to go through this process then to get it
Right.
allowed to be where it is.
Yep. Okay. And sometimes this happens
Yeah.
where we have a project started and somewhere along the way after work begins,
Yeah.
you did the right thing getting a permit, but for whatever reason it was missed.
Sure.
And then you find out you've got to rectify the situation. The one thing I just wanted to ask for, and I don't know if it was, I don't recall seeing it in there. We generally want something in the file about what the financial difficulty would be in moving the structure to a conforming location, not because we want you to do it, but to show
Sure.
the financial cost of doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could submit something to us, an estimate?
Yeah, I certainly could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that
It's
would be
just
helpful.
it's just the foundation, literally.
It's
It's
just
like a
the-
concrete.
It's the foundation,
Yeah,
but,
that's
yeah.
thank goodness.
Yeah,
It's just that, so you
yeah,
don't have to worry
yeah.
about it.
But just for us to have that information in the file would be useful. Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
I have, yeah. 4 of them contacted me and said, best of luck, we have no objection.
No issues, no issues, okay. And we don't have anyone in the audience, we might have somebody on Zoom, but does not
Quiet.
appear to be anyone in the audience unless Anthony, you wanna object.
There's a jacket back there. I see shorts. There's a big jacket back there. I
The
see.
jacket's
Okay.
mine, yeah.
That's
There's
the
no one
jacket.
in it.
No body for it.
There's no one in it.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually went to the property.
Yep.
It's a very, very minor, infringement. It's a couple of feet, 5 feet or so.
Mhm.
And there's some nice work being done. You've got some holly trees or something along the property line. My question is, are you intending to continue those past the garage? They end at the garage, the small trees that you just planted on
Sure, the shrubs along
there.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they will continue most likely.
So you probably held off because you didn't know what was going on with the garage, but I mean, I
Yeah.
just was curious as to
Yeah.
whether you.
Well, Marjorie Riley wants him to contact the planning division in regards to the proposed revegetation.
Right, the revegetation.
Well,
Yep.
actually, there's a kind of just to clarify that, probably in the midst of all this, I had an application going on for, to get relief from the covenant that had that subdivision at clearing at 35%, although the zoning that it's in is typically 60. I have that relief. I got it on the 9th of August. I have a receipt of it here if you want to see it.
Oh,
So I
have
got
you
relief
submitted
from the
that?
covenant. Yeah, so we have the updated survey showing
Okay.
Yeah.
that now I can go to 60
Yeah,
and all
in
that.
her notes, she does reference a covenant,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
for the No Crest Wood subdivision
Right.
from 1986.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
should submit that,
You should
a copy
submit
of
that,
that
yes.
relief to this board so
Yeah,
we can see.
Sure
that.
thing.
Yeah.
So I have full relief anyway.
Good,
with
yes,
the
just
county
submit a
from it.
copy.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly.
And we just want to make sure that Marjorie's okay with it, yes.
So, can I just comment on this? So,
Sure.
we did a covenant amendment on this to go from the 35 to the 60. It was approved, it was done, so that's good. My only question is, was the covenant filed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
my
just all that I would
attorney
ask them
filed
is
it.
just,
Again, I haven't
and they should
received
have
from
it,
the-
just get a copy to me so I can
Yeah, from
verify.
the clerk's office
So
there.
we know, because that's gotta be filed.
Yeah,
There you
okay,
go.
so we're gonna have it, it looks like,
Okay.
Yeah, I have that since back in August. So.
okay, okay. Very
The
good.
email problems may not be able to access at the clerk's office, but
Well, yeah, but he's got a
He's
hard
got it.
copy, so thankfully,
Yeah.
yeah, we're having some problems there.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Aren't you glad you went back to the building department to make some adjustments to your?
Delighted with myself. Delighted with myself.
When was that you went back again?
January, you said, right?
In January of this year? So
Yeah.
10 months ago?
10 months ago. Yeah.
How long did
bless
you have to wait after you submitted the application to be here?
5-ish.
5-ish months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're behind. It's a long wait. to
We're
get-
sorry, Mr. Murphy.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
I've had Candace to help me through all this long
Yeah.
process here,
Yeah.
but you're,
No.
you
It
know,
would have been
and
10 years if it wasn't for that.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping we'll be able to speed
Sure,
things along and
absolutely,
have
yeah.
people not wait so long, so. But in
Well,
any
you
case-
got the permit in January, and then you went for an amendment. When did you go for the amendment?
about 2 months later.
All right,
Yeah.
so that was not in
Yeah.
January, that
No.
was in March.
Well, I know, but I think
Still
you
But
mentioned
it's,
about
I'm
five,
just
around
trying to
five.
clarify, it
8
wasn't
months,
January.
Yeah, but around 5 months between
Yeah.
when you submitted the
He's been
ZBA application
sitting
and
there
when you're
looking
here.
at that
That's what I'm
foundation.
trying to figure out, because, I want us to, catch up, that's all.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
fast.
okay. Yep,
well,
yeah.
COVID slowed us down.
Well, COVID definitely slowed us down. But anyway, any other questions? There isn't anyone in the audience. Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with the application of First SMPD LLC? This is for property located at 19 Collingwood Drive in Sag Harbor. If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No, no Zoom.
Okay. All right.
So it's
Not Susan,
mine.
it's yours.
It's mine. I'm going to say we're going to hold this open for written submissions, which I would recommend you submit what we were discussing at the meeting.
From the clerk.
And for written submissions to be done by November 4th, and a decision on November 17th.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck
for
with
your
everything.
comments. Yes,
very much.
no problem.
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill,
All right,
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks again, have a good rest of your night.
Nobody else here.
Wow.
Yeah,
this
we
is
might
another
get home
really short
before
one.
Johnny Carson tonight.
I used to love that show.
Oh, yes, Fisher Organization.
I'm dating myself.
That was the best.
okay,
No one.
Yeah, we do have one more.
12.
Yep.
Item 12 on the agenda is,
Maybe
it's a
I haven't said it.
holdover, it's Fisher Organization LLC, 74 Priscilla Avenue in Flanders, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-120-3-38.1.
Okay.
Good evening, Rachel Levy for petitioner.
Oh, there we go.
Magic
Good evening, Rachel.
Nice to see everyone again.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully you can give us an update.
Absolutely. So I think we had a couple of open items from our last agenda meeting. One of which was the availability of TDR credit. We've reached out via email and telephone to every person with TDR credits in the Riverhead School District pursuant to the list available within the town of Southampton. There were quite a few people. Unfortunately, the only people with credits were people who had either 0.01 or 0.1 credits, which I think is not very meaningful. However, those are the two that responded. Everybody else either did not have credits or did not receive a meaningful response from them. I submitted a letter confirming the same to Candace on October 11th to let her know of our efforts and the results thereof. The
Okay.
other issue was the parking spaces, which we had the survey revised and sent that over to Marjorie, indicating that the driveways for each of the proposed dwellings would be suitable to house 3 vehicles. So that was sent to her. I believe she's satisfied with that, but I'll let her make her comment in her own remarks to that extent. we had a question as to whether the survey, which reflected a 6-bedroom dwelling, was accurate, since we were under the impression it was a 4-bedroom dwelling. That has been clarified. I submitted, unfortunately, the corrected survey didn't get over until today, but it is in the hands of Candace, and I have hard copies that will be delivered to the town imminently, late tomorrow, if not early next week. It is 4 bedrooms, verified, the survey is corrected to reflect the same. We've also submitted plans for one of the properties. Obviously, they'll be mirror image, indicating the structural plans, architectural plans, and demonstrating that it would be 4 bedrooms for each dwelling. I think that's all I had on my list as open-ended, unless you have any other questions or clarifications required.
Rachel, for the record, could you just tell the board what you had told me about the Gazas? Because I did also ask Dave Wilcox, who does the TDRs for the town. And
Oh, absolutely, yes. So the Gazas are one of the families that we reached out to that was listed as having TDR credit. We sent them both telephone messages and emails, and there was one response, and we followed up again, and there was no further response from them. So we were trying to get their cooperation, however, they never responded back to us, unfortunately.
because the town code says when the ZBA creates non-conforming lots, they're supposed to make all efforts they can to try to acquire some development rights or Pine Barren credits. I mean, the Pine Barren credits are more appropriate in this area because they're in Flanders. But she's, her testimony is that they were unable to secure any.
Right. Okay. Well, appreciate your efforts in doing all of this.
Of course.
Yep. And I think that, yes.
Rachel, can you just pitch your position to the board with respect to having your plans sealed and signed? Because the plans that were submitted are not sealed, signed, and dated. So I told her she could pitch it to the board, and then it'll be up to you what you want to do.
Thank you, Candace. Yes, I forgot to request that I would like to ask the board that should you be inclined to approve of the requested relief in our application, that that approval can be contingent on and subject to submission of signed and sealed plans. There are 2 properties, and the signed and sealed plans are rather expensive to purchase, not knowing obviously if the board will approve requested relief, and then also we need Suffolk County Health Department approval. So we would like to request that if the board should be inclined to approve our application, it could be subject to submission of those plans thereafter.
Well, I don't think that's something we normally do.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, I think typically we want to rely, if we render a determination, that determination refers to plans or a survey, whatever the case might be, that is signed, dated, sealed.
But I think, Rachel, to your point, I mean, you don't have to answer now if you don't think you have enough information, but is anybody a no on this application? You know what I mean?
Oh, on the underlying application.
That's
And I will
kinda what
add
you're
that we
getting
do
at,
have
right?
a signed, sealed, and dated survey that was submitted, that reflects it will be 4 bedrooms. It's just not a specific layout of the plan, so we went ahead and got architectural plans to supplement that survey. The architectural plans are plans that are not signed, sealed, and
Okay.
So our approval would be contingent on your submission of signed and sealed plans.
Architectural
That's what she's
plans.
asking
That's right.
for, but we don't.
In other
we don't
words, we
typically
could
do that.
approve, but we say it's contingent on receiving.
You don't typically do that.
We don't. We
Because
don't.
you want the
Yeah, no, I'm
public-
just asking what
yeah.
the clarification was.
That's what she's asking
Yeah.
for.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Planning
Yeah.
required signed and sealed plans?
We do, but is the survey stamped?
Yeah.
Yes.
These are for the architectural plans, correct?
Which are going to be referred to in the decision.
Of course, yeah.
We have to look at them.
You have to have them.
Yeah, this is,
Planning's gonna want
this
it.
is
Well,
a
as-
request
We don't get,
for,
we don't get involved in house construction.
As Katie said, is, what's the vibe of the board,
Yeah,
you know?
I
I
have
don't
no
have a
problem
problem
with
with
it.
I have no problem.
No, I have no problem with it, so
Send
I
the
think we got
plans,
a
get the
good
architectural
vibe.
plans, send, bring it.
I don't hear any of us saying we think it's a bad application and
Yeah.
we.
No, I have no problem with the application, I'm just worried about the
Yeah,
signed
so
and
get the
sealed
plans.
plans.
Get
Yeah.
the plan stamped and
Yeah,
signed.
get the plans
Yeah.
stamped and signed,
Yeah.
give them the canvas and
the
we'll set a date for,
And Rachel, I only need one set of sealed, signed, and dated.
Per property, per proposed subdivided property. Correct?
Do you want one for each house? That was your other thing. You only had one set, so you're gonna submit one for each dwelling, respectively? That's my question.
The
I'm
houses
sorry,
are,
that for me, it's very hard to hear you tonight on the Zoom.
the houses are exactly the same, right?
Correct, yes, mirror image.
Okay, so the board can refer to one set of plans so long as they're both gonna be built exactly the same.
Understood, yeah, yes, mirror image, exactly
Maybe
duplicative except for mirror image, that's the only difference.
Yeah, so you can get one set, stamped and signed and just have both addresses on that set.
'Cause we only have one.
That way the board can refer to, both, the same plans for both properties.
Understood, I will get that for you, absolutely, and submit it right away.
They had to redo a lot of stuff because of these
Okay.
issues. Not because of us.
you check, anybody in the audience? No, right?
Doesn't appear to be anyone in the
On
audience.
Zoom.
Let me see, is there anyone who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Fisher Organization LLC for property located at 74 Priscilla Avenue in Flanders? If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this is the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No one on Zoom.
No one on Zoom.
Okay, I'll move to close it with, written submissions 11-4. With a determination on 11-17.
Second.
Make sure you get the signed, sealed, delivered package in, will you please?
Absolutely, we'll get right on. top of
Otherwise,
that.
you're not
Thank you
gonna
very
get, you're not gonna get a
No
determination.
problem. And Rachel, thank you for all your efforts with this. I greatly appreciate it.
much. Thank you, my pleasure.
No problem. Okay, who is the second? Okay, Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your night. You should have gone. Okay. decisions.
Quickest we've ever had, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's super quick. Super quick. And John was all excited to have his first meeting be a nice long one.
You missed it.
I had no expectation.
You missed the fun Zoom ones. Yeah. 10,
Okay,
11
it's
o'clock at
the
night.
decision time.
Okay, well, I have a few. Hold on. Okay, so I have a decision in the matter of the application of Deanna and Deborah Frey. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-368-213. This application is for property located at 32 South Phillips Avenue, Remsenburg/Spionk. The applicant here requests variances in connection with the proposed four-lot subdivision. This board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 33011, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a proposed four-lot subdivision. 1, for Lot 1, a minimum lot width of 132.94 feet where 150 feet is required. 2, for Lot 2, a minimum lot width of 142.70 feet where 150 feet is required. 3, for Lot 3, a minimum lot width of 131.03 feet where 150 feet is required. And 4, for Lot 4, a minimum lot width of 140.8 feet where 150 feet is required. And from Town Code 33082, lot width, for Lot 2 and Lot 4, to have a proposed flagpole width of 10.02 feet where a minimum of 20 feet is required, as shown on the survey prepared by Francis C. Watson, surveyor, last dated August 24, 2022. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including compliance with all conditions of any planning board approvals.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Next, I have a determination in the matter of the application of Brendan Hogg and Christina Ferrugiari. It's for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 909-317. This application is for property located at 41 Cove Drive. Applicants request variances for a proposed second-story addition and covered porch on a pre-existing dwelling. This board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a total pyramid encroachment in the amount of 964 cubic feet for a proposed second-story addition on a non-conforming lot. And 2, 330-115C, continuance for a principal front yard setback of 23.1 feet where 28.2 feet is existing for a proposed covered front porch for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Gary Benz, surveyor, last revised December 7th, 2021, and the floor plans dated November 10th, 2021, and the plans and elevations dated March 11th, 2022, both prepared by Glenn Chervany. I guess he would be a architect. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Who did I forget? Mr. Leonard.
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Next, a determination in the matter of the application of 547 Dune Road LLC for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-392-216. This application is for property located at 547 Dune Road in West Hampton. The applicant requests variances to construct a small 15 by 34 foot swimming pool on a non-conforming oceanfront lot. This board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from 1, Town Code Section 138-7A, Coastal Erosion Management Permit Required, Compliance and with provisions, effect on zoning regulations, and Town Code 138-9B, Structural Hazard Areas, for a proposed in-ground pool to be constructed on a coastal erosion management area. And 2, Town Code 330-83C, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and 330-76D yards for an in-ground swimming pool to be located within the minimum and total required side yards for the principal building, as shown on the survey prepared by David H. Fox of Fox Land Surveying, last revised September 21st, 2022. Additionally, and as noted by the building department, while the existing dwelling benefits from certificate of occupancy number C220092, this board also grants relief from Town Code 138-7A, 138-17A, and 138-17C1 for the existing dwelling and attached deck referred to in ZBA decision number D019035 dated March 21st, 2019. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval, including the establishment of a dune restoration/revegetation plan in consultation with the Environment Division.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Abstain.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
No.
Chair votes aye. I think we're done. Let's,
We're done.
anyone else has any decisions?
Lenowitz
Linowitz was adjourned.
adjourned.
Adjourn to
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to close?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are closed. Thank you, Candace.